This is Ken Leone, Vice President of Marketing here at StockRover. In this video, we're going to cover the Insight Panel, which is an incredibly powerful facility for researching stocks, ETFs, and funds. The Insight Panel is available when we are researching the tickers that comprise portfolios, watch lists, screeners, or indices. The panel is shown either as part of all layouts or on its own. You can also show the Insight panel in a detached, separate browser window. We have selected a portfolio called Warren Buffett Top 25. When we select a ticker from the portfolio in the table, the Insight panel loads with information specific to that ticker, in this case, Apple. Let's maximize the Insight panel. Let's collapse the navigation pane. The Insight panel has 5 tabs running across the top, and we'll visit each one in turn, starting with the Summary panel. The Summary panel has 16 subpanels, each with a different purpose. The Price Performance Mini Chart shows the recent price performance of the stock as well as where it is relative to its 52-week range and its daily trading range. The charting period is settable from 1 day to 5 years. We can also launch the optional research reports from here. The Profile subpanel contains key information about the company as well as a link to the company homepage. The Investor Warnings facility is also here. The color of the flag indicates the severity, where yellow is the mildest and red the most severe. Here we see that Apple has 2 warnings, both with a yellow grade, which is the mildest. Let's see what they are. We can see a MACD crossover, which is a negative price technical, as well as declining sales growth. Both warnings are potential causes of concern. They would be areas to focus additional investigation efforts on if you're interested in purchasing the stock. The next panel is a description of what the company does. The Scores panel indicates what we believe to be the fair value price for a stock, along with a margin of safety and scores we have assigned the stock on value, growth, quality, sentiment, and the Piotrowski F and Altman Z scores. The bars are historical scores, so you can see how the scores changed over time. Note, clicking on the eye next to a subpanel delivers a detailed explanation for the subpanel and the metrics. After the Score subpanel, there are a series of subpanels that are largely self-explanatory, starting with Analyst estimates. Note there is a separate Analysts tab, which we will cover later, that has even more comprehensive analyst estimate information. We then have panels that compare the stock versus its industry and the S&P 500 in the areas of return versus benchmark, which shows price returns versus benchmarks over various periods inclusive of dividends. Valuation, which shows lots of good valuation information. Growth, which shows how the company has grown in sales and in EPS and in EBITDA over the last year, the last 3 years, and the last 5 years, as well as how it is expected to grow in the future. And profitability, which displays key profitability metrics. The next subpanel shows key technicals. Financial health includes a number of key health indicators such as the current ratio, the quick ratio, and more. The next subpanel shows the stock ratings facility. StockRover generates these sophisticated ratings by matching a stock versus its peers in a number of dimensions. There's an overall rating score as well as ratings for growth, value, operating and financial efficiency, financial strength, dividends, and momentum. The dividends subpanel follows next, showing key dividend metrics for the stock. Note there's a separate dividends tab inside visuals, which we cover a little later, that has even more comprehensive dividend information. Competitors is matching based on sector, industry, market cap, and TTM sales. Top funds lists mutual funds and ETFs having the highest concentration of the stock. Finally, there's research links that allows you to conveniently link to other sites with context. For example, you could link to Yahoo to get the daily prices in another browser tab. These links are fully manageable by you, so you can include links to your favorite financial sites. You can select from available links or add your own links. Out of the box, StockRover ships with 7 different tabs or sections under the Visuals tab. Each tab shows different information for the selected ticker. You can change visuals to make it exactly what you want. Any tab can be moved in order or hidden. The last 4 tabs can be edited or deleted. You can also create new visual tabs that are customized for your needs. The Earnings Per Share or EPS tab displays sales, EPS, and cash flow per share data for the selected ticker. The data is presented in both chart and tabular form. The underlying stock price is shown on the chart, so you can see how well the stock's price change tracks against sales, EPS, and cash flow changes over time. You can change whether the chart shows quarterly or yearly periods, and the time frame to consider. You can also eliminate or add back any line in the graph by clicking on the legend. The tables are designed to make it easy to compare quarters and years for sales, earnings per share, and cash flow. The table includes future estimate data, as does the chart. You can include percent change versus prior year or percent change versus prior quarter. The Dividends tab shows everything you ever wanted to know about a company's dividend story. A chart shows the yearly progression of dividend payments along with the price performance of the stock superimposed on the background. We can also see how dividends have affected performance. The calendar shows all declaration and payment dates for a dividend. Also included is upcoming dividend information, as well as information on the dividend rate that the stock pays. Key dividend statistics are displayed, including dividend payout ratio, as well as its inverse, dividend coverage ratio. Also included are the dividend growth rates over different periods of time, so you can learn whether dividend growth is slowing or not. The monthly returns shows seasonality. This section makes it easy to see if there's a historic pattern during different times of the year when an investment performs well or poorly. You can control the time period to view from 1 year to as far back as 2007. You can also control whether the monthly returns are displayed as absolute or relative to the S&P 500 benchmark. The first chart is showing the monthly returns in chronological order. The second chart shows the average return per month across the years. The table shows monthly return data in tabular form. History is designed to give you a succinct look into the historical performance of a company along many key metrics. The section starts with a chart that graphically shows the sales, net income, and price to earnings ratio over time. This allows you to correlate the financial performance of the company over time with how the market is valuing it. The next 3 tables show key metrics from the income statement, the balance sheet, and cash flow. The last table shows key profitability metrics and how they are changing over time. Clicking on a gear allows you to configure the appropriate visual. For example, we could add columns. Note, dragging on any of these vertical bars shows history. The Technicals tab contains 5 charts along with a table of technical indicators for the selected stock as well as some of its key peers for comparison purposes. The Versus Peer tab contains extensive information about a stock versus its closest peers. There are 5 separate tables and a chart. The first 3 tables show how the stock compares to its peers along key metrics in the categories of valuation, growth, and fair value. Then a chart follows that shows the performance of the stock versus its industry, sector, and the S&P 500. The return versus industry and S&P 500 table shows the returns of the stock compared to its industry and the S&P 500 over the last 5 days, 1 month, 1 year, and 5-year periods. The last table shows key metrics for price strength and drawdown risk. The final tab in Visual shows key information about a stock versus its industry and versus the S&P 500 in tabular form. There are 4 sections that cover risk and returns, growth, profitability, and dividends. The News tab is where company-specific news is available. Any selected news story opens up in another browser tab. The Analysts tab is where you can find analyst ratings. The Ratings section aggregates the buy, hold, and sell ratings given to the stock by the equity research firms. The chart shows the range of the analyst's target price estimates, including the lowest, the highest, the average, and the median estimates. You can also find analyst estimates on earnings and revenue, as well as EPS trends and revisions and growth estimates. The next tab is the Statements panel. This is a very powerful panel with 4 major parts: the income statement, the balance sheet, the cash flow statement, and a summary tab that has key parts of each of the 3 statements together, along with some other key information on profitability and dividends. Note that calendar year values are shown rather than fiscal year values. This means when you compare our statement data to other sites or 10Ks, the statement's numbers may vary since other sites typically use fiscal years. We view this as an extremely beneficial feature to our investors, as it allows for apples-to-apples comparison of companies' statement data. You can be assured that you're always looking at the same actual business periods when comparing the performance of companies via their statement data. One of the neat features of the Statements panel is the CAGR, or Combined Annual Growth Rate column, so you can see how a line item has changed over time percentage-wise. The next column is the TTM column, which means the trailing 12 months. Statements can be viewed with or without charts. They can also be viewed in 3 different modes: yearly, quarterly, or quarter versus quarter for a given quarter. You can see the data by dollar, by percent, or even by the change from the prior period. which we think is a particularly powerful feature. You can order the columns in ascending or descending order, and you can export the data to a spreadsheet. There's also a panel where you can see a company's filings. The Insight Summary panel also contains information unique to ETFs and funds. Let's check out a fund. Let's start with Fidelity Magellan. Here we see fund-specific information, such as the fund size, its fees, the Morningstar rating, and turnover ratio. You also get asset allocation and world regions information, as well as a list of the fund's biggest holdings. Let's enter a popular ETF. We'll select Invesco QQQ. The ETF display has the Morningstar rating as well as other relevant data, as well as the asset allocation, world regions, and a list of the ETF's biggest holdings. The Summary tab in the Insight panel can also be configured to show portfolio-specific detail. We'll select a portfolio folder, and then we'll select a specific portfolio. Here we see the Summary tab is aggregating the portfolio holdings. We see the top movers. We can change the return period. Here we see the portfolio allocation. We'll select the pie for the financial services sector. And here we see the tickers that comprise the financial services sector in the portfolio. We also get a breakdown based on asset allocation with a tooltip, sector allocation with a tooltip, and world regions with a tooltip. Here we see stock-style diversification of the portfolio versus a benchmark, in this case, the S&P 500. Here again, we have a tooltip. I hope you found this video useful. I encourage you to explore StockRover and see all that it has to offer, as well as check out our educational videos on our website. Thank you for watching.